I do not believe that the solution to our problem is simply to elect the right people. The important thing is to establish a political climate of opinion which will make it politically profitable for the wrong people to do the right thing. Unless it is politically profitable for the wrong people to do the right thing, the right people will not do the right thing either, or if they try, they will shortly be out of office. Milton Friedman. Milton Friedman, a staunch advocate for free market capitalism, championed minimal government intervention, believing that competitive markets best allocate resources and foster economic growth and individual liberty. His core ideas included monetarism, emphasizing the crucial role of the money supply in inflation, the permanent income hypothesis, arguing that consumption is based on expected long-term income, and the natural rate of unemployment, suggesting a limit to how low unemployment can fall without causing inflation. Friedman also advocated for policies like school choice, a volunteer army, and freely floating exchange rates, consistently arguing for the power of individual choice and economic freedom. Milton Friedman was born on July 31, 1912, in Brooklyn, New York City, to Sarah Ethel Landau and Gino Saul Friedman, working-class Jewish immigrants from a region then part of Austria-Hungary, now Ukraine. Shortly after his birth, the family moved to Rahway, New Jersey, where his parents ran a small dry goods store. The family's financial situation was often precarious, but they fostered a warm and supportive environment. Friedman, the youngest of 4 children and the only son, excelled in the public schools of Rahway, graduating high school just before his 16th birthday in 1928. His father passed away during his senior year, leaving his mother and 2 older sisters to support the family. Despite the financial constraints, Friedman received a scholarship to Rutgers University, where he initially focused on mathematics, intending to become an actuary. However, he was significantly influenced by 2 economics professors, Arthur F. Burns and Homer Jones, who sparked his interest in economics as a means to address the Great Depression. He graduated from Rutgers in 1932, financing his remaining expenses through various jobs. Offered graduate scholarships in both mathematics at Brown University and economics at the University of Chicago, Friedman chose Chicago, earning his master's degree in economics in 1933. At Chicago, he was exposed to influential economists like Jacob Viner, Frank Knight, and Henry Simons, and he met his future wife and collaborator, Rose Director. The following academic year, he held a fellowship at Columbia University, studying statistics with Harold Hotelling, before returning to Chicago to work as a research assistant for Henry Schultz. These formative years, marked by both financial hardship and intellectual stimulation, laid the groundwork for his future groundbreaking work in economics. Milton Friedman's first major work, which significantly shaped his career and the field of economics, was Income from Independent Professional Practice, co-authored with Simon Kuznets and completed as his doctoral dissertation at Columbia University in 1945, though published in 1946. This study, stemming from his work at the National Bureau of Economic Research, analyzed the incomes of professionals like doctors and dentists. In this work, Friedman challenged prevailing views by arguing that restrictions on entry into professions, such as licensing by the American Medical Association, artificially inflated incomes. This early work displayed his commitment to empirical analysis and his skepticism towards government or professional interventions that limited free markets. It also introduced his early thinking on the concepts of permanent and transitory income, which would later be more fully developed in his influential A Theory of the Consumption Function 1957. While Income from Independent Professional Practice might be considered his first substantial academic contribution, his 1953 essay, The Methodology of Positive Economics, is also a highly significant early work that laid out his influential views on how economic theory should be constructed and evaluated, emphasizing predictive power over the realism of assumptions. This essay became a cornerstone of his methodological approach and sparked considerable debate within the economics profession. Milton Friedman's next major work was A Theory of the Consumption Function, published in 1957. This book presented his groundbreaking permanent income hypothesis, which revolutionized the understanding of consumer behavior. Prior to Friedman, the dominant Keynesian view held that current income was the primary determinant of consumption. Friedman argued that individuals' consumption decisions are based not just on their current income but on their permanent income, which is their expected long-term average income. He posited that temporary fluctuations in income, transitory income, have a much smaller impact on spending than changes in their perceived permanent income. Key aspects of the permanent income hypothesis include: distinction between measured and permanent income. Measured income is the income received in a specific period, while permanent income is the long-run average income individuals expect to receive over their lifetime. Consumption smoothing. Individuals prefer a stable pattern of consumption over time. They will save during periods of temporarily high income to maintain their consumption during periods of temporarily low income. Implications for fiscal policy. Friedman argued that temporary government interventions, like tax cuts intended to stimulate spending, would have limited impact because individuals would likely view the income change as transitory and adjust their saving rather than their consumption. Milton Friedman's next major work and a significant event in his career was his co-authorship with Anna J. Schwartz of A Monetary History of the United States, 1867 to 1960, published in 1963. This highly influential book provided a detailed analysis of the role of money supply in the U.S. economy and offered a strong challenge to the prevailing Keynesian view that monetary policy was relatively ineffective. Key arguments of A Monetary History included: the Great Depression. Friedman and Schwartz argued that the severity and duration of the Great Depression were largely attributable to the Federal Reserve's mismanagement of the money supply, specifically its failure to prevent a sharp contraction in the money stock. This contradicted the dominant view that the Depression was primarily caused by a collapse in aggregate demand unrelated to monetary factors. The Quantity Theory of Money. The book provided strong empirical support for the quantity theory of money, which posits a direct relationship between the money supply and the price level in the long run. They demonstrated a close historical correlation between changes in the money supply and changes in nominal income. Critique of discretionary monetary policy. Based on their historical analysis, Friedman and Schwartz advocated for a rules-based monetary policy, arguing that discretionary actions by central banks often led to instability and worsened economic fluctuations. They proposed a stable, predictable rate of money supply growth. Milton Friedman's next major work, following the influential A Monetary History of the United States, was Capitalism and Freedom, published in 1962. This book extended his economic philosophy to a broader range of social and political issues, becoming a seminal text for the modern libertarian and free market movements. In Capitalism and Freedom, Friedman argued that economic freedom is a necessary condition for political freedom. He advocated for minimal government intervention in various aspects of life, proposing policies such as freely floating exchange rates, opposing fixed exchange rates and government intervention in currency markets. A volunteer army, arguing against conscription and for a professional military. 5. A negative income tax, as a more efficient and less intrusive way to address poverty than existing welfare programs. School vouchers, to promote competition and choice in education. 7. Deregulation, reducing government control over various industries. Milton Friedman's next major work was his long-running column in Newsweek magazine, which began in 1966 and continued until 1984. While not a single academic treatise, this platform allowed Friedman to reach a broad public audience, disseminating his economic ideas and policy recommendations on current events. Through his bi-weekly columns, Friedman consistently applied his free market principles to a wide range of issues, including inflation, government spending, international trade, and social policy. This regular engagement with the public significantly amplified his influence beyond academia, shaping popular discourse and impacting policy debates. The columns were known for their clear, concise, and persuasive arguments, making complex economic concepts accessible to a non-specialist readership. This period marked a significant phase in Friedman's career, establishing him as a prominent public intellectual and further solidifying his role as a leading voice for free market economics. Between his Newsweek column 1966 to 1984 and his death in 2006, Milton Friedman continued a prolific career as an author, public intellectual, and advocate for free market principles. Notable works during this period include Free to Choose, a personal statement 1980, co-authored with his wife Rose Friedman, which was also a popular PBS television series. This book presented their core economic and social philosophy to a wide audience, advocating for individual liberty and limited government intervention in various aspects of life. Another significant work was Tyranny of the Status Quo 1984, co-authored with Rose Friedman, which critiqued government policies and argued for reform. Throughout these years, Friedman also published numerous academic papers, essays, and op-eds on a wide range of economic and political issues, consistently promoting his belief in the power of free markets and individual choice. He remained a prominent voice in public debates, offering his perspectives on major economic events and policy challenges until his passing. Milton Friedman died of heart failure on November 16, 2006, at the age of 94 in San Francisco, California. He passed away peacefully in his sleep at his home. Even in his advanced age, Friedman remained an active intellectual, and his last column was published in the Wall Street Journal the day after his death, demonstrating his lifelong dedication to his work. He was survived by his wife, Rose Friedman, who passed away in 2009, and their 2 children. His remains were cremated and scattered over the San Francisco Bay Area. Government has 3 primary functions. It should provide for military defense of the nation. It should enforce contracts between individuals. It should protect citizens from crimes against themselves or their property. When government in pursuit of good intentions tries to rearrange the economy, legislate morality, or help special interests, the cost come in inefficiency, lack of motivation, and loss of freedom. Government should be a referee, not an active player. Milton Friedman received numerous prestigious awards and honors throughout his distinguished career. These include, Nobel Memorial Prize in Economic Sciences 1976, awarded for his achievements in the fields of consumption analysis, monetary history, and theory, and for his demonstration of the complexity of stabilization policy. 1 John Bates Clark Medal 1951, awarded by the American Economic Association to economists under the age of 40 who have made the most significant contribution to economic thought and knowledge. Presidential Medal of Freedom 1988, the highest civilian honor in the United States, awarded by President Ronald Reagan for his contributions to economic policy and thought. National Medal of Science for Behavioral and Social Science 1988, awarded by the President of the United States for outstanding contributions to the behavioral and social sciences. Member of the American Philosophical Society 1957. Member of the National Academy of Sciences 1973.